In 1977, there was a publication that was entitled the very name of this talk. Some of you who might have been in the truth around 1977 can remember this publication. This publication, no doubt, was designed to help skeptics who don't believe in the existence of our Creator. And hopefully, if there are some in the audience for the first time, maybe some of the reasonings that's going to be discussed in this outline will help you to appreciate that life does have a purpose, because there's a Creator with a purpose that made life or created life. You know, sometimes when a person thinks about life, it's when they get up in age, get older, they start appreciating the time has gone by, and they wish that they could have done more with their lives. It seemed like their life had no meaning. And so sometimes when you compare yourself to the vastness of the age of the universe, the human family that we all are part of, it makes us feel that our life is very insignificant, doesn't it? Now, I want to just read something to you to really help you to appreciate how the age of the universe compared to the age of our existence can make us feel like we are insignificant. Because the human lifespan is so short compared to the age of the universe, that if you were to tell your grandchildren today that the universe is 13.7 billion years old, even when their grandchildren's grandchildren tell their grandchildren about the age of the universe, guess how old it would still be? 13.7 billion years old. So with all those generations that have gone by, it makes us feel that our life is very insignificant compared to how long the universe has been here. The Bible writer David had the same idea. David looked up into the heavens, and he says, when you look up into the heavens and see the works of Jehovah's hands, he said, what is mortal man that you keep him in mind? We're so insignificant. If you get into an airplane, you can't even see a human on the earth, on the ground, can you? So what kind of impact can our lives have in the known universe, let alone among the human family? But for those who don't believe in the existence of our Creator, the one that we dedicate our lives to, we want to give them some evidences that will convince them that life does have a purpose. Everybody in this audience, everybody sitting in those chairs, those seats, you are a biological miracle. We don't understand how something as tiny as a single cell that had all the instructions that you are today was written down in our DNA. We just know that we're here. We don't remember when we were being born and developed in our mother's wombs. But let's look at some of the things that some people think about, such as the wonders of life. Do you know what a wonder of life is? But prior to this outline, I hadn't even considered that there was wonders of life that we can contemplate on that can make us wonder, does life really have a purpose? Now, one person enumerated at least 7 things that he considered wonders of life that made them give pause to, we have to have some kind of purpose or some significance being alive on this planet. One of these wonders of life they contemplate on is love. You ever thought about that? Notice what they say about love. They said love is one of the most complicated emotions of human life, yet the simplest one. Love is a connection. It's not restricted. It's not restricted to a person. It is vast. It is a connection between a mother and child, between a person and his pet, between two best friends, between a person and a dream, between a human and a tree, between us and the moment. It is endless. So when you think about that, you wonder, what is this thing that's in us that makes us feel the way that we do toward things and other humans? It's one of those wonders of life, making us realize that there must be some purpose of why we feel a certain way when we are around certain people or have certain things in our possession, because it makes us feel good. So this is something to help us appreciate why it's understandable that a person want to know why are we here, and does life really matter? So let's talk a little bit about what is God's purpose for this earth, because it would take a supreme human being to create this earth, because man cannot replicate it. This mathematician had this to say about the universe we just talked about, in addition to the earth. This British mathematician, he was a physicist, astronomer, very intelligent man. His name was Sir James Jeans. He wrote that in the light of advancing scientific knowledge, the universe begins to look more like a great thought than like a great machine. And so it'll take a little effort on all of our parts to really appreciate what he's saying, because if we turn our Bibles to Isaiah, the 40th chapter, verses 26 and 28, you can understand why God told one of his ancient servants to follow these instructions. Turn with me to Isaiah, the 40th chapter, verses 26 and 28. There the God of the heavens and the earth, the creator of the universe, told Isaiah, lift up your eyes to heaven and see who has created these things. Who has created these things? He asked in Isaiah. It is the one who brings out of their army by number. He calls them all by name. Because of his vast dynamic energy and his awe-inspiring power, not one of them is missing. And then in verse 28, he says, do you not know? Have you not heard? Jehovah, the creator of the ends of the earth, is a God for all eternity. He never tires out or grows weary. His understanding is unsearchable. So the effort that this physicist, this mathematician, this astronomer put forth made him come to the rightful conclusion that the universe is more seen as a great thought instead of a great machine. When was the last time you looked out into the night sky and pondered over the stars in the heavens and thought about life? See, it shows that those who are very intelligent, those are the ones who come to an acknowledgement that there's a creator. But if we don't investigate evidences, we can also be affected by the skeptics who don't believe that there's a God, because they haven't investigated anything to convince them, like this physicist. Now, as God told Abraham to look into the starry heavens, well, there's nothing that you can see with the naked eye that can convince you that there's purpose. But I'm going to tell you something. If we think about the galaxy that we're a part of, everybody in this room, we're on the planet Earth, true enough. But the planet Earth is a part of a solar system comprised of 9 planets and 1 star, the sun. And that solar system is a part of a Milky Way galaxy. So now, if we were to say that the Milky Way galaxy was like a country, and that our solar system is like a city, and the Earth's natural orbit around the sun was like a street, everything is perfectly placed. I'm going to tell you why. The sun is 93 million miles away from planet Earth. And on the hottest days, we only receive 1/1000th of the sun's energy, just enough to sustain life. If the Earth was a little closer to the sun, we would fry. If it was a little bit further away from the sun, we would freeze. It's going around the sun at 66,000 plus miles per hour, fast enough to offset the sun's gravitational pull. Is that by coincidence, or is that by design? And then think about the moon. Our Earth's moon is unusually large compared to other planets. And it's over 239,000 miles away, but yet, based on its proximity, it's able to keep the Earth at a 23.4 degree angle to produce our 4 seasons. If the moon was not in our orbit as the host planet, the Earth will be unsteady. It will wobble, even fall over on its side. The Earth itself rotates at 24,000 miles, or 1,000 miles per hour. The Earth is 24,000 miles in its circumference. That's why we have 24-hour days. It takes 1,000 miles per hour, 24,000 miles to complete one revolution of the Earth. But you know how sometimes we complain there ain't enough hours in a day? Do you know that if we had an extra hour in a day, the Earth would turn a little bit slower, and that would create havoc on the Earth? It would make one side a barren desert, too much exposure to the sun, and the other side a frigid frozen wasteland. See, so be careful what you ask for. We don't need no extra hours in a day. Whoever created the Earth to spin just at that speed, 1,000 miles per hour, in a 24-hour period was enough. Just like you have a rotisserie chicken rotating, it'd be evenly cooked, wouldn't it? You see? So it shows the evidence convinced skeptics that there must be some kind of great intelligence and thought behind it. Another thing that we need to think about too is that we have an atmosphere. As long as we've been alive, scientists have been threatening that meteors are going to strike the Earth and obliterate it. Never happened. Why not? Because we have an ozone layer. Because of the gases in the air, 78% of it is nitrogen, 21% is oxygen, 1% other gases, along with the ultraviolet rays from the sun makes a shield around the Earth. And as the radiation increases, the ozone gets thicker to protect us from flying objects that's in the outer space. Is that a coincidence? Or is that by design? See, those of us who believe in what the Bible says understand that there's a creator. A creator is somebody who has intelligence, who put thought into creating something. You know, we're so busy on earth, we're so focused on getting a paycheck to go to the grocery stores and go to restaurants to eat, and I hope I do that after this talk, that we forget that the earth is doing all of these things that's making life possible to be able to be inhabitable. Without the earth rotating around, having our 4 seasons, to have proper seasons to have food to grow and crops, there would be no food in the restaurants. There would be no food in the grocery stores. The ones who have probably more faith than some people who don't read the Bible are farmers. Because farmers depend on the rain and they pray for it. Because if no rain falls, there will be no food for us to eat. Another thing that we don't think about is that if the bumblebees were to die off, it has been said that humans cannot exist for no longer than 4 years. Because 2/3 of all the food produced are pollinated by bumblebees. You see, so we really don't know how we are blessed to be a part of Jehovah's organization, not be like the skeptics who are missing out on the opportunity to know who this creator is, who intend for them to live on this planet. The earth has natural cycles. We have air, food, and water. Do any of us know how these cycles operate? See, we can exhale carbon dioxide, but where do we get our oxygen from? From plants. Isn't that interesting? See, the plants take the sun's light, and it's got chlorophyll inside the plant. It has this photosynthesis going on with it that produces food for itself so that the plant can grow, so they can produce the oxygen that we need, and we exhale the carbon dioxide that it needs, and it creates an air cycle. We never run out of oxygen. Is that a coincidence? What about the water? They said that water is so vital to us because 70% of a human is made of water. 80% of a baby is water. That's why they're so fat and pumpy. But how many of us like to drink water? It's rare that people like to drink water. But did you know that the fresh water that is needed for life on earth is less than 3% of all the water in the world? And most of it is frozen in glaciers. I want to share something with you. They say if you were to take all the water in the world and put it inside of a 1-gallon container, the percentage of water that's safe for us to drink would be like taking a teaspoon of that, and that's all the clean water that we can drink. But so many of us waste water outside of just not drinking it. But it's something here that's really interesting that I'd like to share with you about why we should drink water. There's 15 reasons that we should drink water. And we shouldn't drink it just because we're thirsty. Because sometimes we don't realize that when we are thirsty, that means we're dehydrated. And really, we should have been drinking water before that happened. But some of the reasons why we need to drink water is that it flushes body waste. It helps maintain blood pressure. You see, a lot of us may know about hypertension. We take high blood pressure medicine. Could it be that we're not drinking enough water outside of it being just a hereditary factor that's contributing to why our blood pressure is high? Our airways need it. It says when dehydrated, it says airways are restricted by the body in an effort to minimize water loss. This can make asthma and allergies worse. Isn't that interesting? It makes minerals and nutrients accessible. These dissolve in water, which makes it possible for them to reach different parts of the body. See, you got to remember that water is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. And really what hydrates our body cells is not the oxygen that makes the water, it's the hydrogen that's in the water. That's how our body cells stay hydrated. That's how we avoid premature wrinkles. You see all these people getting Botox and all these different things going on. Drink a little water. You won't have so many, wrinkles. It comes with age. But some of us may have premature wrinkles because we're not drinking enough water. So, it helps flush out the kidneys and all the above. So we can really see that purpose was involved. Look at the planet. 70% of the planet is water. Why is there so much water on the earth if it wasn't intended for us to drink it? We got to do more than cook with it, make Kool-Aid out of it, take baths in it, wash our cars and our clothes with it. Water is plentiful. There are some countries where people walk over 3 miles to get water. And all you got to do is walk to the kitchen sink. Isn't it a shame that we won't take advantage of it until it's gone? And then we panic like they did in Flint, Michigan when there was tainted water and they couldn't drink. See, we don't want to get to that point, do we? So we want to appreciate the Creator's purpose in creating water for us to sustain life. Turn with me to Isaiah 45th chapter, verse 18, and let's substantiate that point to prove that all of these things are in place to prove that life has a purpose. All of these things will not be here to sustain us if we were not intended to live. But Isaiah 45th chapter, verse 18, the Bible says, "For this is what Jehovah says, the creator of the heavens, the true God, the one who formed the earth, its maker, who firmly established it, who did not create it simply for nothing." He didn't make water simply for nothing. He didn't make air simply for nothing. He didn't make food simply for nothing. But he formed it to be inhabited. I am Jehovah, and there is no one else. So, Jehovah created this planet to help people to live on it. So all these natural cycles that are on the earth are here for you and I. It is our home. Psalm 115 verse 16 says that the heavens belong to Jehovah, but the earth he has given to the sons of man. That's why even though people in Christendom believe that when they die they go to heaven, or they want to go to heaven, they're afraid to die. If heaven was intended for us to be there, it'd be just as natural as we want to live on earth that they should be wanting to die to get to heaven, because that's the only way you're going to get there. But the Bible tells us, doesn't it, that God has given the earth to the sons of men because he created it to be inhabited. So really, all of these things that are happening in the earth was not created by blind chance. We did not evolve. That's a dead argument. You don't hear that much. But in our schools, our children are no doubt still being taught this. So we need to help them to investigate the evidences that convince them that life does have a purpose because there's a creator who has a purpose. But some people may say, well, the scientists saying that the earth is going to explode, or it's going to burn up because the sun is going to expand and expand and expand, and it's going to burn it up into an inferno. And they may, make our children become terrified because they show animations and films about this kind of stuff. And without a creator that controls all of these elements, of course, unstable elements can cause things to happen. Just like you mix bleach with ammonia. You breathe that in, you're dead. Certain chemicals cannot be mixed together, but that's not the situation with the planet. Turn with me to Psalm 104, verse 5. And the Bible lets us know that even though there's a raging fire in California right now, that's not going to be something that's going to take over the earth and continue to burn and destroy it. Even though there are tsunamis and earthquakes, all of these natural desires are not going to be something that's going to destroy this planet. And Psalm 104 verse 5 proves this. Psalm 104 verse 5 says, he, that is that creator, has established the earth on its foundations. It will not be moved from its place forever and ever. Jehovah God is not going to let anything destroy this planet. In fact, he tells us in the book of Revelation, 11 chapter verse 18, he's going to bring to ruin those who are ruining the earth. And man is doing that. I was looking at a documentary, and it was a man that had a farm, and I don't know if you know about DuPont, but that's a company that produced things, killed 109 of his cows because they're dumping chemical waste inside of the water, and it's getting out in the air. And so man is definitely ruining this earth. And there are people in the government that they test nuclear weapons in the ground and shoot them in the ground to test them. And then all the nuclear waste come to the top and destroy all the topsoil. So as many, activists are in the world, as a website called SaveWater.org that talks about how we need to conserve the water and not waste it, not dumping things in it. And you got a lot of water activists out here because they know that man is running this earth. But guess who also knows this? The God who told Abraham to raise his eyes to the heavens to see. The one who said he has given the earth to the sons of mankind. The one who says that I created the earth to be inhabited. I didn't create it simply for nothing. So if God has all this power to bring these things into existence, do he not also have the power to stop them from taking it out of existence? These are the things that we need to share with our skeptics. But what about you and I? What is the purpose for mankind? See, inside of your head is a miracle. It weighs 3.2 ounces. It's pinkish gray. What am I talking about? That thing that makes you laugh, make you cry, make you scratch and itch, make you eat your food, make you love people, make you listen to this talk is your brain. Man cannot make a supercomputer equal to what the brain can do. And it really shows that the creator who made the brain is an economer of space, because they said if you made a computer the size of the John Hancock building, that's what it would take to be equivalent to the processing power of our brain. And look what God did. Put it right side in your skull. So don't hit your head think you're thinking. I mean, think about it. That don't help you think better. I know people do that. It'll make you think better. Probably damaging that poor brain. But now, you can think about how we're so intelligent, much more than animals. Sometimes they believe that animals are just as intelligent as we are. But can an animal pray to God? Can an animal even understand what I'm saying in this talk? Can it worship God? Absolutely not, because we're made different than animals. We're made in God's image. So we have moral, mental, spiritual, and emotional capacities where we can actually imitate this God. And so everything that he tells us to do, the way that we should behave, we feel good because the Bible describes him as a happy God. And so when we do what he says, we are actually living according to the way we have been designed. So those who don't believe in the Creator miss out on purposeful living, because when we live according to his commandments, we enjoy life the way that he intended for us to have. But when God created the first humans with these unique abilities, which we still possess, people want to know, what's going on? If God intended for the earth to be inhabited, did he plan for us? Did he intend the world to be the way that it is? All the violence and crime and all the things that's happening. He said no, because when he created the first two humans, he put them in a paradise. He gave them a wonderful assignment to have a family to spread this paradise. But because they were also creating God's image with the ability to have free will. See, we can decide to choose good or bad in our decisions in life that got them in trouble. See, God told them, as long as you obey me, you will live in this paradise forever. So death was not like it was an unavoidable end for them. They could have avoided death, but they chose to disobey. And so God put them out the Garden of Eden. See, they had a healthy relationship with him. In Genesis, the 3rd chapter, verse 8, it said God used to talk to Adam in the breezy part of the day. Can you imagine having a relationship with God like that? Where you have communication with him. He didn't only create him with instruction, but he visited him on a daily basis to teach him what he needed to know. But that wasn't good enough for Adam and Eve. They just had to be like God beyond being like God in his image. So they disobeyed God, and as a result, we inherited the sin that became a part of their DNA. Some people may think that because Adam had free will, that there's some kind of way, if he wouldn't have had the ability to do bad, he would have been imperfect. And that's true. Because he would have been incomplete. He wouldn't have been made in God's image perfectly. And the reason why I bring that up, and I hope that I explain that clear enough for you, is that if you take a knife and cut meat with it, will you use that knife to cut soup with it? No, because the knife is perfect for what it was designed to do. Adam was made perfect in that he was able to make a decision to serve God or choose not to serve God. He wasn't programmed, no more than any of us are programmed. We were created to do a particular thing, and that's to obey God. And we can do that because we made in His image. Well, because they disobeyed, we now have sin in us, we die, and it seemed like everlasting life is just a dream, as one of the publications we had said that. But we're not. Jehovah God didn't lie. He did create man to live forever on earth in paradise, and He even illustrated that with Isaiah again, in Isaiah 55, 10 and 11. See, we got opportunity to appreciate the snow when it falls. I know a lot of us don't like the snow, but think about it this way. Jehovah says His word is like snow. He said, just as the snow and the rain fall down from the heavens and saturate the earth, and it doesn't return until it produces food for the soil, so my word that comes down from the heaven will not return to me without success. So it's almost as if Jehovah told Adam and Eve to do something, and it didn't happen. It's as if His words are still falling to the earth until it produced that result. So we're in a wonderful position to be in Jehovah's organization, to actually believe in this God of purpose, so that when His word returned back to Him, we'll be right here on this earth in paradise the way that He intended for us to live, because that's the reason why He created planet Earth. Some people say, the people who are skeptics who refuse to listen to talks like this, they try to find purpose on their own. They pursue a wide variety of different careers, trying to add meaning to their life. You got philanthropists out there. You got angel networks that have millionaires that give money away to people because they want to leave a legacy. Or they want to open up charities and do different things because they don't know why they're here. So they figure, I'm a billionaire, so that must be my purpose, to give back, right? But if they listen to what Solomon says in Ecclesiastes 2nd chapter, verse 1 through 11, he was the richest Jehovah's Witness in the Bible. He said, I did whatever I saw with my eyes. I built trees, I built houses, I had vineyards, I had horses, I had women, he had everything. And in the end, he said it was all vanity. It was a chasing after the wind. You know why we are called consumers? Because we just keep on consuming things. We buy, and it's gone. We buy some more, we consume it. Consume. And we never get tired of consuming. Because as long as there are things for us to get, we always want that next thing, the next best thing. That television right there, it looks big, doesn't it? Remember when we was in Romeoville, we had televisions like that on the stage? Then we had the monitors and came back and said they had a monitor big as this whole stage. It just blew my mind. And now you can get used to that. And you can go to the Romeoville and they have one big as the whole front stage. You can get used to that. It never ends because you wasn't created just to reach out for material things. We were designed to worship God. That's why happiness is not in things. The guy at my job, the reason I use that analogy, because he just had a 65-inch television. It broke, so they gave him a 75-inch television. He had it for 1 week. He said, now it's too small. You never get tired of it. So Solomon, because he was able to put his hands on a lot of things that we could only dream about, it was like striving after the wind because he still wasn't satisfied. He had everything that any man could want to have, but he wasn't satisfied. So he came to the rightful conclusion, which we're going to conclude eventually with this talk about what is the whole obligation of man. So here's the saying that we want to take from this talk. Your life will have purpose if you make God's purpose your purpose in life. Your life will have purpose if you make God's purpose your purpose in life. What is God's purpose in life? Solomon said it. Let's look at our scripture here, Ecclesiastes 12:13. Solomon summed it up. He says, the conclusion of the matter, everything having been heard, is fear the true God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole obligation of man. Or in other words, this is the purpose of life.